Here's a question that'll blow your mind. See this $60 bottle of premium bourbon? And this $25 bottle? Which one do you think has artificial coloring added to fake its age? If you said the expensive one, you'd be right. Both of them, actually. Because here's what the whiskey industry doesn't want you to know. Nearly every brown spirit you see on the shelf, bourbon, scotch, whiskey, can legally add caramel coloring to make it look older and richer than it actually is. And they don't have to tell you. That deep amber color you associate with aged 12 years, it might be aged 3 years with a few drops of E150A, spirit caramel. That smooth, mellow flavor, it could be chill filtered to remove all the natural compounds that give whiskey character. And that handcrafted small batch label might be from a factory that makes 50 million bottles a year. Today, I'm exposing 12 whiskeys I personally avoid and giving you 7 better bottles that are actually worth your money. Let's pour the truth. Whiskey used to be transparent. You knew where it came from, how long it aged, and what went into the barrel. Distillers took pride in their craft. There were no shortcuts. But when whiskey exploded in popularity over the last 20 years, thanks to shows like Mad Men and the craft cocktail movement, big corporations realized they had a problem. They couldn't make aged whiskey fast enough. Real age takes time, so they started cutting corners. Caramel coloring to fake age, chill filtering to remove flavor for smoothness, sourced whiskey, where brands buy bulk spirits from factory distilleries and slap their own label on it. And the worst part? Almost none of this is disclosed on the bottle. Today, I'm breaking down 12 specific whiskeys I skip, not because I hate whiskey, but because I know what to look for. And I'm giving you 7 alternatives that are transparent, authentic, and actually taste like whiskey should. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a master distiller. This isn't health advice. I'm a whiskey enthusiast who got tired of paying for marketing instead of quality. Let's start with 2 minutes of whiskey science, then we'll hit the bottles. Here's your 2-minute crash course on what makes whiskey whiskey and how the industry manipulates it. Real whiskey aging works like this. Distilled spirits go into charred oak barrels. Over years, the spirit extracts color, flavor, and complexity from the wood. A 12-year bourbon should be deep amber because it spent 12 years in a barrel, not because someone added dye. But here's the shortcut. E150A, also called spirit caramel. It's a color additive made from heated sugar. 1 drop can turn a 3-year whiskey the color of a 12-year, and it's completely legal in bourbon, scotch, and every other whiskey except straight bourbon whiskey. Though even then, the TTB enforcement is murky. Why does this matter? Because caramel coloring doesn't just change the look, it subtly changes the flavor. It adds sweetness and covers up harsh notes from younger spirits. You're not tasting the whiskey, you're tasting food coloring. Next, chill filtering. This is when distillers cool whiskey down and filter out fatty acids and proteins that make it cloudy. Why? Because most consumers think clear equals premium. But those compounds carry flavor. When you chill filter, you strip away texture and complexity. Non-chill filtered whiskey might look cloudy when you add ice or water. That's called flocculation, and it's totally natural. It means the distiller left all the good stuff in. Finally, sourced whiskey. This is the biggest scam in the industry. A brand will launch with a cool story, a trendy bottle, and charge $50. But the actual whiskey? It was made at MGP in Indiana, a factory distillery that supplies hundreds of brands. There's nothing wrong with MGP whiskey. It's decent. But when you're paying for craft and getting factory, that's a problem. So that's the setup. Fake color, stripped flavor, and misleading labels. Now let's look at specific examples. These are the 12 whiskeys I personally avoid, and why. Your palate may vary, but here's my logic. Number 6. Crown Royal. The iconic purple bag. This is Canadian whiskey, not bourbon, and that distinction matters. Canadian whiskey laws are incredibly loose. Crown Royal is a blend of different grain whiskeys, corn, rye, barley, mixed with neutral grain spirits. That means a significant portion of what's in the bottle is essentially vodka made from grain. It's also heavily chill filtered and colored with caramel E150A to give it that amber hue. The result? A whiskey that's smooth because it has no character. It's engineered to be inoffensive, which is the opposite of what great whiskey should be. If you like Canadian whiskey, try Lot 40 Rye or Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye. Both are 100% rye and have actual flavor. Number 5. Fireball. Look, I get it. It's fun. It's sweet. It goes down easy. But here's the reality. Fireball is liqueur, not whiskey. It's sweetened with sugar and loaded with artificial cinnamon flavoring. The whiskey base is cheap Canadian whiskey cut with neutral spirits. It contains propylene glycol, the same ingredient used in antifreeze as a preservative. Now, the food-grade version is safe. It's also in ice cream and salad dressing. But it's there to stabilize a product that's more candy than craft. The alcohol content is only 33%, 66 proof, compared to 40% for real whiskey. You're paying whiskey prices for sugary schnapps. Number 4. Jim Beam White Label. This is the best-selling bourbon in the world, and it's a perfect example of mass production over quality. Jim Beam is aged for only 4 years, the legal minimum for straight bourbon. To compensate for the young age, it's produced at massive volume and bottled at exactly 40% ABV, the minimum for bourbon. It's not bad whiskey, but for the same price, you can get Buffalo Trace, Evan Williams Single Barrel, or Wild Turkey 101, all of which are aged longer, bottled at higher proof, and taste significantly better. Jim Beam is what you buy when you don't know what to buy. Now you know better. Number 3. Jack Daniel's. The most recognizable whiskey in the world. Jack Daniel's is Tennessee whiskey, which means it goes through the Lincoln County process, charcoal filtering before aging. This is supposed to mellow the whiskey. In reality, it strips out flavor. Old Number 7 is also chill filtered after aging, removing even more complexity. What you're left with is a very smooth, very bland whiskey that tastes like not much. It's watered down to 40% ABV and mass-produced at a scale of 140 million bottles a year. If you like Tennessee whiskey, try George Dickel Bottled in Bond. It's 100 proof, non-chill filtered, and has real character. Number 2. Johnnie Walker Red Label. The entry-level Scotch. Johnnie Walker Red is a blended Scotch made from up to 35 different single malts and grain whiskeys. The youngest spirit in the blend can be as young as 3 years old. To mask the harshness of young whiskey, they add caramel coloring for visual appeal and chill filter it heavily. Blended Scotch isn't inherently bad, but Red Label is blended for volume, not quality. It's harsh, one-dimensional, and primarily used for mixing, which is a waste when better options exist. For the same price, buy Monkey Shoulder or Famous Grouse. Both are blended Scotches with significantly more flavor. And number 1. This is a category, not a brand. Any craft whiskey that won't tell you where it's made. Brands like Bullet, Templeton Rye, Smooth Ambler, Redemption, High West, and dozens more all source their whiskey from MGP, a massive factory distillery in Indiana. There's nothing wrong with MGP. Their whiskey is solid. But these brands charge $40 to $60 for bottles that cost them $8 wholesale. The scam is the story. They'll tell you about their heritage, their master distiller, their small batch process. But if you look closely at the label, it says distilled in Indiana or produced by instead of distilled by. That's your clue. I'm not saying don't buy sourced whiskey. I'm saying don't pay craft prices for factory spirits. Know what you're buying. Number 6 on the Scotch side. Dewar's White Label. Dewar's is another blended Scotch made from dozens of different whiskies. The blend is aged for a minimum of 3 years, barely legal under Scottish law. It's then colored with caramel and chill filtered. The whiskey is thin, one note, and forgettable. It exists to be cheap and mixable, not to be savored. Number 5. Chivas Regal 12. This is marketed as a premium blended Scotch, but it's still a blend of dozens of whiskeys from different distilleries. The 12 on the label means the youngest whiskey in the blend is 12 years old, but most of it is probably younger. It's also chill filtered and artificially colored.
For $35, you can get a single malt like Glenfiddich 12 or Glenmorangie Original. Both are from single distilleries, non-chill filtered, and have far more character. Number 4. Cutty Sark. This used to be huge in the 1960s and 70s. Today, it's bottom shelf blended Scotch. Cutty Sark is a blend of grain whiskey and a tiny amount of malt whiskey. It's light, bland, and tastes like watered-down grain alcohol with a hint of smoke. It's the Scotch equivalent of natural light beer. Technically whiskey, but just barely. Number 3. Clan MacGregor. If you see this at a liquor store for $13, there's a reason. This is the cheapest blended Scotch you can buy in America. It's aged for 3 years, loaded with caramel coloring, and tastes like rubbing alcohol mixed with burnt sugar. Even for mixing, it's too harsh. Save your $13 and put it toward a bottle that's worth drinking. Number 2. Grant's Triple Wood. The Triple Wood sounds fancy. It means the whiskey is finished in 3 different types of casks. But here's the trick. The base whiskey is still young, blended grain whiskey. The 3-cask finishing is a marketing gimmick to cover up the fact that the liquid inside is basic blended Scotch. It's chill filtered, caramel colored, and forgettable. The fancy bottle and name are designed to make you think it's premium. It's not. And the number 1 Scotch to avoid: any no age statement whiskey that doesn't tell you why it has no age statement. In the last decade, Scotch distilleries realized they could charge the same price, or more, for younger whiskey by just not putting an age on the bottle. Macallan, Glenlivet, and others launched NAS expressions at $60 to $80. Some NAS whiskeys are excellent. They're blends of different ages designed for flavor, not cost-cutting. But many are just young whiskey in a fancy bottle. If a distillery won't tell you the age or explain the blend, it's probably because the whiskey is 3 to 5 years old and they don't want you to know. Always ask, why no age statement? If the answer is vague, skip it. All right, I just trashed your home bar. But here's the good news. There are incredible whiskeys out there that are transparent, authentic, and worth every dollar. Here are 7 you should be buying. Number 7. Buffalo Trace. This is the gold standard for accessible, high-quality bourbon. It's aged for at least 8 years, uses a traditional mash bill, and is bottled at 90 proof. Most importantly, Buffalo Trace is transparent about their process. They don't use gimmicks, they just make good bourbon. It's around $25–30 and available almost everywhere. If you can only afford one bourbon, make it this one. Number 6. Wild Turkey 101. This is a high-proof bourbon that doesn't play games. It's aged 6 to 8 years, bottled at 101 proof, 50.5% ABV, and is non-chill filtered. That means all the natural oils and flavor compounds are still in the bottle. It's bold, spicy, and tastes like real bourbon should. At $25, it's one of the best value bottles in the whiskey world. Number 5. Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. Bottled in Bond is a legal designation that guarantees quality. It means the whiskey is made at one distillery in one season, aged for at least 4 years, and bottled at 100 proof.
It's a mark of authenticity. And Evan Williams' Bibe is under $20. It's rich, full-bodied, and proof that you don't need to spend $50 to get great bourbon. Number 4. Ardbeg 10. If you like smoky, peaty Scotch, this is your bottle. Ardbeg is a single malt from Islay, aged for 10 years and bottled at 46% ABV. It's non-chill filtered, has no added coloring, and tastes like a campfire by the ocean. It's around $50 to $60, but you're getting a true expression of place and craft. This is what Scotch is supposed to be. Number 3. Glenfarclas 12. This is a family-owned distillery that refuses to play the corporate game. Glenfarclas doesn't chill filter. They don't add coloring. They age their whiskey in sherry casks for a minimum of 12 years and bottle it at 43% ABV. It's rich, sherried, and complex, and it's only $50. Compare that to a Macallan 12 at $80 for half the flavor. Number 2. Redbreast 12. This is Irish whiskey done right. Redbreast is a single pot still whiskey, which means it's made from a mix of malted and unmalted barley and distilled in traditional copper pot stills. It's aged for 12 years in a combination of bourbon and sherry casks. It's non-chill filtered, has no added coloring, and is bottled at 40% ABV. It's smooth, fruity, and spicy, everything Irish whiskey should be. At $60, it's a premium bottle that earns its price. And number 1, the best whiskey you can buy is any whiskey that tells you the truth. Look for these markers. Bottled in bond, guarantees age, proof, and single distillery. Non-chill filtered, preserves flavor. Natural color or no color added. Age statements, transparency about maturity. Brands like Four Roses, Knob Creek, Russell's Reserve, Talisker, Highland Park, and Maker's Mark cask strength all fit this criteria. They respect the craft, respect the consumer, and make whiskey worth drinking. Support the distilleries that are honest. Your palate will thank you. Here's the truth. The whiskey industry survives on brand loyalty and misinformation. They want you to buy based on the label, the story, or the fancy bottle. But now you know what to look for. You can walk into any liquor store and spot the real from the fake. Every time you buy mass-produced, artificially colored whiskey, you're telling them, I don't care. But when you buy transparent, craft-focused bottles, you're voting for quality. Here's your action plan. I've put a complete list of recommended whiskeys in the description below, organized by style and where to buy them. Total Wine, local liquor stores, online retailers. If you want me to do this same breakdown for tequila and expose the 100% agave brands that use additives, drop a comment that says tequila. If you want vodka and the filtration scams, comment vodka. Hit subscribe if this saved you money and upgraded your bar. Cheers to better whiskey, and I'll see you in the next one.